Recording.
You already know anyway. Yeah, because it says recording in progress.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a opportunity for us to discuss preparedness in the current world order in a way that is beneficial to us now and in the future. Our agenda basically is I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes on what is preparedness, what we can do right now, and then we'll have some question and answer time. We'll last about an hour. We can go over if we want to, but an hour seems to be about as much attention as anybody can give normally. And then also,
unless it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah, exactly. If people want to put their email in the chat box, I have some resources that I can send people that will actually work where you are right now.
Good. Let me be the first one in there.
I knew you would, Liz. I already got your email, and I know.
Okay.
But go ahead and put it in.
There you go. Double up. Right?
Yeah.
Got to build redundancy into the system.
There we go. Okay. So, and of course, everybody knows who I am. And of course, here at White Raven, we have been a sustainable community since 2012 on this location. And every year it gets better, and every year it gets more prepared. And that's so I'm kind of happy and really glad that there has been so much interest in preparedness right now. I will say this, that one of the books that is really good for you guys to get is this one. It's called The Lost Ways. And
yes, it's a really good book.
Huh?
I said, yes, it's a really good book.
Yeah,
I lost my copy.
Jason. Yeah. And you can get it from askaprepper.com. You just have to really go through his stuff because he's selling lots of books and lots of things. But I did, by the way, Liz, I did look at volume 2. It's good, but really volume 1 gives you everything you need.
Okay, good.
So volume 1 is fine.
Yeah.
I had somebody in the church who had a copy, and they had an e-copy, so I had them give it to me. And I quickly scanned it. It doesn't look like it has a lot more than what we actually need for what we are trying to accomplish. Okay.
Awesome.
So I'm going to throw out a question to you guys. What is preparedness to you? What does that mean? Basically, it's what brought you here to this meeting, really. What is it? What does it mean to you? You know what happens if I hear crickets? I start singing the Jeopardy thing.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Come on, Papa Bear. You got it. I know you got one bubbling.
It's what I learned years ago. It's being prepared for any contingency. Doesn't matter what. Always having something ready, a backup plan. Bag, weapons, food, water, everything.
Right on. Okay. Thank you, Chad.
Yep.
Papa Bear? That's interesting.
Yeah, he's my Papa Bear. He's like a surrogate dad almost.
Okay. There's Jason. There's 2 generators sitting outside the house.
Got it. Jason, you were going to talk.
I said, having preparedness for me is, like I said, having a go bag ready, having water supply on hand, my freezer stocked, some canned goods and things like that. That doesn't need electricity to cook, but having a backup generator and extra medicine on hand, things like that. I mean, unfortunately, the older I get, the more medicine I need. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
Let's not play the medicine comparison game.
Yeah, really.
Anyway, so a way for you to be prepared is to have, where Canada, you can get a 90-day supply.
Right.
That way you have 90 days worth of supply in case something happens and you need that medicine, you have it.
Right.
Okay, Jason, on that older comment, read between the lines.
You bite me. Okay,
I was including myself in that comment.
I'm picking
Okay.
And I think I probably won the prize on that. This and this, and this. I looked in the mirror the other day and I saw this, and I'm like, what the hell did that come from? Anyway, Rowan just shook her head. So anyway, Mary, what's preparedness to you?
Being ready for whatever happens, having a supply of all my meds on hand. By the way, I'll see anybody and raise you 2 on the med list. Having water. I have always kept food on hand. Looking into what kind of generator we need to get.
I would suggest a small inverter one. They're much better. I looked into them. I'm probably going to place these 2.
And quieter too.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if anyone had opinions on inverters versus
Inverters
regular.
are the way to go. Inverters are definitely the way to go unless you're living in the country.
Yeah.
No, I
say
live
about
in
noise,
a subdivision.
Okay. I mean, if it were really to get bad, and people will go out and try to get your supplies. I mean, that is just, it has happened numerous times. You'd want something quiet so you can either hide and, protect what you have. I mean, ideas to keep your safe.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I'm a firm believer in self-defense, and that means keeping myself and my family protected at all times. That means, a quiet generator or inverter or whatever. That's...
Yep.
And I was as Alfred and I were talking about this, I said to him, I'm a little paranoid, a little bit, just enough.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're out to get, not out to get you.
Exactly right. So we've actually gotten this little list together, and we even made an everyday carry list.
Which
that folks,
I think that we should probably put a share link in this chat.
Yes, I was just actually getting ready to do that.
Cool.
Copy link. Come on, please. There.
See, and this is really the point, and all of you guys have some really great ideas about what you can do now. But so what I would like you to do is to think about a couple of things. The med thing is really important, absolutely, especially for those who take a lot of meds. I mean, for myself, I take a few respiratory meds, but thanks to people like the Blackmans, I have lots of stuff laying around, as well as the fact that I get current stuff. We also have supplies on hand that people will give us things that can be shared with other people if they meet the appropriate level. Because I'm just remembering that we're recording this, so I probably shouldn't say certain things. I'm probably going to have to edit out the whole medicine thing. But hold on, I'm just going to. So you're going to want to have at least a 90-day supply of your meds, whatever they are. If you are not on meds, but there are things beside a first aid kit, and in the Lost Ways book and another book that I'm going to share with you, there are tinctures and herbal teas that are useful for certain things at certain times. And if you're not a person that's on meds, of course, because we never say you should get off your meds and get into herbals ever. No. Remember, we're recording. And so, but if you're not on them, and let's just say that you have a headache, well, it's a well-known fact that white willow bark is the primary ingredient that is in aspirin today. And that there isn't any reason why not to use a white willow bark tea if you've got a slight headache or something like that. And I'm not advocating, because I am not a doctor, nor am I giving you a prescription for any particular herbal concoction. However, I have read in many books that those are the kinds of things that you're going to look at. One of the resources that I give you will list some of those kind of herbs. Ro?
Figure few works too.
Yeah, feverfew is another one that
From
I'm
personal experience.
that I'm not advocating as an internal usage. However, we have all used them and found them in books somewhere. So those are the kinds of things.
Are you
Or grandmother's recipe book.
I'm sorry?
My
Say
grandmother's
again?
recipe books.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm going to send you guys a copy. I have electronically put together mostly, basically it's my grandmother's and Willow and Rowan's recipe book from ages ago, and that's what I'm going to send you guys. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that is on the medical side. The thing is, the other thing I need that one really needs to consider at the current time, where do you live now?
Right.
Where do you
Because-
live now? What are you capable of doing? I mean, if you're living on, if you're living in New York City on the 10th floor of an apartment building, with a little tiny porch, you're not going to have a generator. You're not gonna have a wood fire unless you've got a wood stove unless you've got a fireplace that's already in there. And then where are you going to get wood? So the thing is to consider where you are now and what you can do. Now, as Mary said, having canned goods last a really long time. And on this list, we talk about that. Think about the vegetables that you eat or that you can eat or that you want to eat. And having a pantry that has several weeks worth of those kinds of things is good. Vegetables, canned fruits, because people forget about fruits and you need to have canned fruits too. The other thing that you want to learn how to do is how to make bread without your bread machine or without going to the store. Because one of the things that we learned during the pandemic here was that people were calling us up and saying, all the shelves in Walmart are empty, and how am I going to feed me and my 2 kids? And what we realized was that a lot of people didn't even know how to cook chicken.
much less make bread.
Much less make bread. So getting that, believe it or not, getting that Good Housekeeping or ancient monstrous cookbook, if you don't have one, or any other cookbook, and experimenting now. Learn how to make bread. Learn how to. If you don't know how to cook, if you don't know 5 ways to cook chicken and hamburger meat, figure it out. Because you know what, it's going to get to a point where all you've got is hamburger, and you're not going to want the same hamburger meal every single day.
Yes,
Liz.
Right. And here's the thing about that too. Is like, I know that all of you are shaking your heads right now, but when you are out teaching people this, you cannot or be like, oh my God, how do you not know how to cook chicken? This is just how people were raised.
Mm-hmm.
They were raised, you go to the grocery store, you buy it, you bring it home, you put it in the oven. That's how people were raised, and that's, go ahead.
Yeah, when I first moved out on my own, I did not know how to cook a damn thing.
Yeah, and a lot of it, you're right, Alfred, is experimentation with things and seeing which flavors go well together. And the reason why I think a lot of people are, adverse to asking questions is they don't want to get the whole, well, how do you not know how to do this thing?
Right, exactly. And of course, that's the other thing, is to be able to get a few spices. Now, here are some spices that are good to get. Garlic, salt and pepper, obviously, turmeric, chili powder, and curry. If you have, you got one more?
You want a savory in there of some sort, like rosemary or thyme.
Rosemary or thyme as well. Yeah, because with those 7 herbs, you can make 1,000 dishes.
You said garlic, salt, pepper, turmeric, chili powder, and what besides rosemary and thyme?
Curry,
right.
Curry and turmeric, right.
Yeah.
And having those herbs, you can do anything. And you can flavor anything the way you want. Because really, everything tonight that we're talking about is what can I do now?
Also ginger.
Yeah.
And ginger is good to have around as well. The thing here is that what we're talking about is now is the time, we had the pandemic where we had all the lockdowns, and now we've got other stuff going on in the world. This is a really good time for you to be experimenting with this stuff. Because you know what? if you try to make that bread and you mess it up now, you can still go to Aldi's or whatever and get a loaf of bread.
Mhm.
But let's learn how to do this stuff now so that in case there's a situation, then you know how to do it.
And
Right.
the reason that we say those 9 herbs and spices is because they also have health properties such as anti-inflammatories, immune builders, gut health, and all that jazz as well. So not only will they supplement your food and make your food taste better, they'll also supplement your health.
Right.
And the other thing to do is that, and this is going to sound weird, but we're all spiritual people here. Do not forget to pray over your food.
Mm-hmm.
Or then, because you know what, that's important. We do something here every day called hoodoo coffee, and what that is that it's the coffee in our French press with some herbs and some prayers or meditation structures that we say over that coffee in order to help us in our daily movement through the day. Because you know what, days are stressful. The other thing that you can do right now, if you don't do it, take 5 minutes to light a stick of incense and sit quiet in the beginning of your day.
Or at least 1 minute.
Or at least 1 minute. And the truth is that one of the things that if anybody needs it, and you'll need to tell me, I have an easy meditation technique which will pretty quickly teach you how to meditate in about 15 minutes. I don't believe that anybody here needs to be taught how to meditate.
Anybody watching this?
No, but you might want to post that link because just to have, I mean, we're not about, we want to probably get this out to as many people as possible so that some people might not know how to meditate. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, very cool. I will get that link before this is over somehow, because I'm only semi-technically savvy, so doing multiple things at once. I may have to put it up like an addendum to the recording or something, or maybe a list of them at the end of the recording. So those are some of the things. The other things that you can do right now, and this is more for individuals that are not living in the center of major cities. I don't want to get into any kind of thing about police forces or vigilantism or anything like that. But if you live in an area where there are varmints, like I do, learn how to shoot a weapon.
Any weapon.
Any weapon. I don't care what it is, whether it's a gun, a rifle, a bow and arrow, a slingshot, anything. Okay, if you not a Molotov cocktail, but landmines, IEDs, whatever. Learn how to do something. I'm thinking that I might need an IED for this damn groundhog that's underneath my barn, but I'm afraid the chickens will knock it off. Anyway, because they're stupid.
I wish I could bring you my dog. She loves to go after them.
Yeah. I actually, we used to have a dog that was great with the groundhog, but he decided to go somewhere else. So we kind of are looking for another outside dog. But anyway,
I think that one nasty neighbor actually poisoned him, and he ran off to die.
You think so?
Because he was not looking good the last time I saw him.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Pyrenees.
So
yeah,
But
I
going
wanted
back
to-
to the food, after Liz speaks, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Liz.
I just wanted to go in some specifics. I know that we've been talking a lot of generalities, like we say you want to have bottled water on hand, but how much if you're staying in place, right?
Okay, good.
So I believe that I read that you need at least a gallon a day per person for X amount of days, however long you're planning on sticking it out.
Correct.
And to build redundancy into that, also have a way to purify your water.
Yes, which is what my next thing on my little list here was.
Good.
Purifying
Yeah.
water. You had something else before I did that?
No, after we get to the water, though, I do have something to add.
Okay. Purifying water. People get all kinds of panicked about purifying water. Guess what the easiest way to purify water is?
Boil it.
Boil it.
That's right. Boil it. All you got to do is bring it to a high boil and then let it cool. And
Let
then,
it boil for 10 minutes.
which is like 10 minutes.
No, let it boil for 10 minutes.
Right.
And then let it cool.
And then after you've got that, if you really want to be cool about it, because you don't like little pieces of stuff in your water, if it's coming from a pond, have a cheesecloth and run the water through the cheesecloth so it gets rid of all the debris, and then your water is drinkable. That is the simplest way to purify water. You, here at White Raven, because we are on a well and we live in a 100-year-old house, so the pipes are, the pipes have a mind of their own. It could be 40 and they freeze, and it could be 5 and they don't. So, it's up to them, between them and the fairies. But so what we do is that we have those, those giant coolers that you usually put drink in, that, you have it like the events, or for those who have been here, it's what we put the iced tea and the water in during 3 gates. We fill one of those with water and bring it into the kitchen. And now I've got potable water. It's actually 10 gallons of water. And that 10 gallons of water, if I'm careful, will last me at least a week. And my pipes don't ever freeze for more than a week. Now we're on a well. As long as I have electricity, I can pump water. Now, the inverter helps me that if I lose power for any length of time, I can use the inverter in order to at least run my pump. That brings us back to the whole generator thing. Know what you absolutely need to run. In other words, you don't need to run your TV, the light in all 12 rooms, the refrigerator, the deep freeze,
charging all of your devices.
Charging all of your devices, although it's important to at least charge one. Know what you need. Figure out which that inverter or generator, what it would take to run those particular devices for a full 24 hours. I'm telling you, in the summertime, you ain't running. If you're under a generator, you're not running an air conditioner. You might run one fan, right? Or sleep outside under a mosquito net. There are other things that are important. So we've talked about generator, medicine, water, canned goods. The other thing that you want to think about is canned meats and canned fish. You know what? You may get tired of tuna fish and salmon, but it's not bad. They're a good source of protein. There was something that you wanted to add.
Yes. Going back to learning how to cook for yourself, also learn what your food substitutions are. If you run out of something, know what you can replace it with. Yep. Like if you're out of sour cream, you can use plain yogurt. If you're out of milk, you can use plain yogurt. If you're out of plain yogurt, you can use cream cheese. That sort of thing.
Right. And the other thing that you're going to want to do is also, whether you like it or not, have a big thing of powdered milk.
Yes.
Just have that there. You may not like it, but in an emergency, if you need some kind of some kind of dairy for some reason, you can always use powdered milk. And I don't mean the powdered creamer. I mean the bags of powdered milk.
Yep.
Right? Yep. The other thing you're going to want is some kind of sealable containers for this stuff. Now here, what we do is that we buy flour, beans, things like that in big 50-pound bags. But you know what? You can't just put the bag in the pantry.
No.
So you have to have containers you can put that stuff in that are sealable. And the truth is, plastic containers are okay as long as you shift and move them. Right? If you shift and move them, even if you've got mice and stuff, it's harder for them to find. Better to have metal containers, but those become incredibly metal or glass, and they become very costly. We have some of those that we use, but we also have for the warehousing kind of stuff, we have them in heavy duty plastic containers. Now, believe it or not, one of the best plastic containers out there are pickle buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Or kitty litter buckets.
Or kitty litter buckets.
Yes.
If you can get your local Burger King or your local McDonald's to give you, in the name of recycling, their pickle buckets, they get these 5-gallon pickle buckets that have fantastic lids on them. We use them in our barn to hold the feed for our livestock, and even the mice can't get in those.
We also use them for gardening and other foodstuffs as well.
Right. Okay, which now brings us
Right.
to, and we're running good. We're running good on time here. I'm so excited.
A little bit.
No, I had till 45, and then we have
Oh,
questions,
okay.
so we're good. There's only
Right.
33, so we're good. The next thing, and I'm going to have Rowan talk a little bit about this. If you're in an urban area, what can you grow that you can then eat? Right? What kind of microgreens? Even if you're in an apartment, you can do microgreens in your apartment as long as you've got a good window.
Mhm.
So, Rowan, talk about what they can grow in an urban environment.
All right, so he was talking about living in New York on the 10th floor of an apartment building. You can take a shoe organizer and fill each pocket with dirt, and then you have mini planters and just sling that over your railing, and you have a little mini garden for yourself. And as far as what you're growing, you want a pretty wide variety, and things that can be contained in those in those containers. It is always preferable to grow vertically rather than horizontally to save space, as a lot of people don't think about airspace when they think about gardening. And like Alfred said, you want things that you can preserve and things that you actually like.
Right.
So, like,
You
don't
don't
go
like
growing
them,
tomatoes if you don't like tomatoes.
Exactly. If you don't like green beans, don't grow them. If you don't like okra, don't grow okra.
Well, then stop growing the damn okra.
I like okra.
I don't.
And something I learned that's really cool is that you don't imagine the things that you could grow vertically, okay? Like I've been watching YouTube for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, and they grow everything on poles these days, like things that you wouldn't even imagine that are climbers, like
Right.
cucumbers.
Yep.
Mhm.
You can do
Mhm.
Anything
cucumbers.
that vines climbs.
Right. And
There you
so
go.
if you are in an urban environment, and let's just go that you don't have a balcony, but you've got a window, so you want to go vertically, or you want to go horizontally a bit, you could grow cucumbers. You could grow okra. Don't expect me to come to your house. You could grow, you could grow squashes, zucchinis, and all you do is and you put a stick. Just put a stick in there when you plant it, and the vine will find it and it will grow.
You might need to use a tiny bit of fishing line just to get it started, but once it finds it, it'll grow on it.
Right. And if you think about it, think about things, there were regular house plants, like a lot of the philodendrons, they grow like that. Well, so do your vegetables. Your vegetables will grow like that, so you can get them to vine. So
Right.
part of what you can do now, which is what we're talking about tonight, figure out what you would like to grow in a mini garden and put one together, even if it's just a tabletop, just a tabletop, and plant the things. You know what? The seed packs are really good. They tell you how to plant it.
And
Yep.
if you are new to gardening, anybody who's listening to this recording, if you are new to gardening, choose 3 to start out with that you're going to eat. That way you don't overwhelm yourself. Just to get the hang of how
Oh,
to
look
do it.
it!
There you go. There you go.
What you got there, Papa?
There you go,
That looks
Jad.
like parsley.
Is that parsley, Chad?
That is actually celery. Roy's began growing celery.
Oh,
got-
wow!
I got
Oh,
the
yeah.
plant family right.
Yeah, it was hard
Yeah.
to see because it was fading in and
The
out.
blur.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the
Very cool.
background.
Yeah,
Yep.
celery is awesome. Celery is a great one to grow.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing that you might want to think about for now, you want the highest caloric count and highest vitamin count on the vegetables and the fruits that you have available.
Yes, you want your food to be nutritionally dense.
Because when we're talking about a situation where you can't go and get stuff, you want to be able to have it so it's nutritionally dense, because that also improves your immune. And it also keeps you healthier, so you're
And
not
it
so
keeps you
tired.
fuller longer,
Correct.
so you don't eat as much.
Right. So things like
things like
Go ahead.
goji berries,
Mhm.
broccoli, your leafy greens, garbanzo beans are really great. They're nutritionally dense. They're high in protein, high in fiber, and let's see what else.
Well, we want to talk about the lettuces.
All legumes, actually.
Correct.
Yeah.
For the most part, all legumes. You might want to do some romaine lettuce. Stay away from the iceberg lettuce that you buy in the store.
Iceberg lettuce is nothing but water and a tiny bit of fiber.
It's really useless.
You want your more nutritionally dense greens like chard, romaine, oak leaf lettuce,
Kale.
kale,
I know a
collard,
lot of people don't like
mustard,
kale, but
turnips. I love
Hey,
kale.
it's really,
There's another thing that you might try. Why don't you get one of your seaweed packs?
oh
And-
yes, ooh, seaweed is good. I like
Seaweed is really, really good. And believe it or not, it's a great snack. And they come in these packs. Rowan's going to go get one to show you. But they're also nutritionally dense. It's a very good source. And yes, sometimes it's like you think you're eating just nothing because it really melts in your mouth. Think about sushi wraps. But it's really, really, really good.
And they're high in iodine, so it helps your thyroid.
awesome.
Right?
I'm gonna eat this.
I figured you would as soon as you got one. What about the ice cream? Oh, never mind. The other thing that if you, you know what? I'm with you, Chad. Coffee. Yeah. Coffee and colored orange.
Well, I mean,
what do you
someone
got?
told me not long ago, they said I didn't need coffee for myself. And I said, well, I need it for you because otherwise you might die. Don't mess me about my coffee.
The other thing you might want to think about, if you have the wherewithal to move toward more, like if you can get yourself real free range chickens, which means like if you were local here, you'd come here and you could buy broilers from me and know that they're free range and that they're not full of stuff, right? Making farm fresh eggs, anything. And I know it's more difficult for real city dwellers, but if you can get out to community farm type places or farmers markets and start cultivating those individuals and start purchasing some of that, that will make it easier in the long run. I will also tell you, if you have a Amish community that's local to you, figure out a way to not be an Englisher with them. There are many opportunities for you to be able to at least purchase things from their markets. Because what's really important here, what's really important to understand is to figure out who your neighbors are.
Who your good neighbors
Who your good neighbors are. Use that good old Ozark term. I don't know about his religion, but I just know that he's a good neighbor. Help your neighbors find those connections, build some kind of local-ish community, and start sharing the resources. Now, I know in the city it's a little different. Of course, if you're in New York City, which is a collection of neighborhoods anyway, it doesn't really matter. You're already friends with everybody who lives on top of the other bodegas because you can't help but hear everything anyway. Yeah, really everything, even at night. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you got it. You're all smirking, so we got that.
Yep.
And it was correct by the FCC. I didn't say anything. Okay.
Nope.
So these are the things. So just to recap, we have a list that we've given you of things that you can have. I will be sending you want to take time to do some kind of harmony and balancing thing every morning, connection to deity, whatever it is, just to put yourself in the right headspace. You want to try to source as much materially as possible from farmers markets, etc. You want to have about a week's supply of everything that we talked about. And if you don't know how to do things like making bread, making jams, things like that. Figure it out now, not when you need to.
Right.
Figure that out now. The other thing, as everybody already knows, that if things are such that you need to get out, the address is in there. This is one of the official places for y'all to come to.
Yep.
So,
And before we go into the Q&A, I would like to go over an everyday carry list in about 2 minutes.
yes.
Multi-tool, paracord, pocket knife, compass, a reliable fire starter, and one of these. It's called a Silcock key, 4-way Silcock key, about $6 on Amazon, $5 or $6. You can get it in a hardware store. Also, I do believe they sell them there.
Yeah, they do. That's where I got mine.
This is for opening bibs on the outside of municipal buildings for getting fresh, potable water.
Correct.
In case of emergencies.
Right.
Because trust me, ain't nobody gonna be saying nothing when they're like, "Where's the water at?" And you just happen to have a Silcock key that can get to the municipal building down the road.
Yeah. Now the other thing is, a lot of municipalities do have potable water that is available to their community. You need to ask, figure out where that's at. For instance, in New Hampshire, when I lived in Exeter, New Hampshire, we couldn't they wouldn't give us potable water from the spigot at the courthouse. However, there was an open spring from a closed spring water company that the city owned the property, and so they let the water from the spring come out of a pipe, and they gave everybody that location. So when you needed potable water, you can go there. Here in West Plains, it is on the side of the old courthouse. But it's important to know where that is, because every municipality will give it to you if necessary. Potable water is one of the few things you can always get.
Right.
So
and it's find out now.
Right. And really, that's, the overarching thing, if you take nothing else from tonight, is that do these things now. Figure them out now, so that, and get these things together. Your go bag, like Liz was talking about, a lot of the things that are on this on the spreadsheet that we have, those are pretty much a series of go bags of what you need to have. What you're going to want to make sure is that in that go bag, you have a couple of changes of clothes and put them in plastic bags. And you know what? It's not terrible. Open the corner of that Ziploc bag and suck it in so you get all the air out of it, and then seal it like you do with your good food. And it also makes it wrap better. So a couple of things a couple of changes of clothing, a map, a compass. On that map, if it's you need to get and you're coming here, have the route marked out on the map, how to get here.
Also, spend your resources, your time, your energy and your money on things that'll get you more resources.
Right. Like seeds, right? Water purification. You don't need to waste your money on a whole big fancy water purification system that you're not going to want to carry in the damn bag anyway.
If you have a way to boil water.
Right. So you know what? Here's mine. Just grab take a fire starter. Yeah. Right? Because the lighter may not work when it's cold, but that fire starter is going to work. The other thing is, practice starting the fire with the fire starter now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's it. That's what this is all about. Be prepared now for the eventuality. Okay.
And bringing redundancies with you is also key. And if you are an out of shape person like me, I've been researching the amount a go bag should weigh that you're going to be carrying on your back if you have to truck it 50 miles on foot or 100 miles on foot. No more than 20% of your body weight or 30 pounds, whichever is less. If you work out for at least 3 hours a week, it should be, I think it was no more than 30% of your body weight or 40 pounds,
45.
Whichever is 45 pounds, whichever is less.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay. So we have 9 minutes left for Q&A. Anyone have any questions on anything that we didn't cover this evening?
Or suggestions on what else you would like to see in our next iteration of this, because this is not the last time that we're going to be doing this.
No.
Okay. Well,
Has everybody gotten a copy of the what we call the needs list?
well, they can. They can pull it down. And I will make sure that when I process this video, that I also have the spreadsheet. I'm going to take the chat where I have everybody's email address, and I can send you we'll send you some of that other stuff as well.
Mhm.
Yes, because Zoom will copy the chat as well. Mr. Pagan World Meetings. Ed, you got anything to add for us this evening?
No, I think this is a really great start. I thought you did a great job. I do think as people get into it, I do think we need to make sure we understand we're not doing this out of panic. We're not talking about prepping. We're talking about resiliency, which is a big difference.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we kind of avoided the term prepping, because this is planning. This is getting ahead of the ball.
This is
And-
becoming sustainable.
Right.
Yes, and becoming sustainable, exactly. And changing our mode of living.
And
little bit.
there's a dozen different ways now in our society that we can face these crises without being a big major crisis, but
Mhm.
being local. I mean, we've seen the earthquakes, we've seen the weather storms that knock out electricity, we've seen road blockages, and all sorts of weather conditions. So this isn't really about. A lot of people may start, oh, you're trying to prepare for war or thing. We have all sorts of little things that happen every day. Plane accidents taking out grids. I mean,
Life
we
happens.
that has happened.
2 years ago in Nashville, a tornado knocked out power for part of the city for
That's
5
right.
days.
Yep.
Yep.
And the ice storm took out the entirety of Texas for
5 years
2
ago,
weeks.
we got stuck across the river for 3 days.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And at the same time, while we were stuck across the river for 3 days, two people were living here on the property, and they were stuck on the property for those same 3 days because everything was cut off around us. So that's why this is about being prepared, not about panic. So I really appreciate everybody's time tonight. I will start processing recording. Of course, soon as this is done, I'll do some tweaking to it. And then Liz and I will figure out where we're going to upload it to and give you all access to it. Well, Liz, myself, and Ed, of course.
Yeah.
Mary, let me assign that to our growing communications officer, Mary. To where it's posting.
Okay.
I mean, we got.
Well,
it's
to where it's
Go ahead,
being
Ed.
saved was the
we'll work on that. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll give you-
I have plenty of room in my Google Drive. If
I've got all the room for where it needs to be stored.
okay, well then
That's
I've
not
got-
a problem. It's a
Sorry,
question
I
of
thought-
what
Almost unlimited storage on my drives as well.
Yeah, me too.
But
Yeah, we
covered
all-
then.
And the thing is that what I was more considering is that I thought that particularly Liz and Ed should talk about is like, where do we want to post it?
Everywhere,
You know.
everywhere.
So I think we can use Pagan World as a source because it can be shared out everywhere.
Yeah.
We can sit that down. That's what it probably is. We have a group on there, and that can be shared out to all across social media. We have a Facebook group. I think Liz is running Discord.
Yep.
We got a lot of space. We eat a lot of real estate.
We got it.
Yeah, we do. We have a